Wednesday. High pressure in charge by this stage. Still quite a lot of cloud. Few showers around across the northwest of the UK. Should brighten up towards the south. So another day of sunny spells, but a rather cool easterly breeze developing for some of us. So cooler around some of these east coasts, but again up to about 16 Celsius towards the west. But then things do start to change again from Thursday onwards. We've got low pressure that looks like it'll be anchored out in the Atlantic, and then showers and frontal systems will rotate around that. So quite a breezy spell of weather, fairly showery certainly through Thursday and into Friday as well. Looking ahead towards the weekend, well, temperatures might just come up a little bit, but it is looking fairly unsettled. So we'll firm up on the details for next weekend closer to the time, but a rather unsettled outlook by the end of the week. John and Nina.
Your BBC weather bingo card has almost got a full house on rain there. Thursday in Edinburgh, no rain, but apart from that, gosh.
But you have to remember, some of this is showery rain. So I think, yes, there are rain symbols on the chart because we are likely to see some showers coming and going, but there will be some dry weather in between as well. So pack the brolly, pack the sunglasses too, though.
Glass half full, Sarah.
Always.
Of rainwater. Thank you very much indeed. Cheers.
Showers but not consistent rain.
Yes.
That's fine. We can live with that at British springtime. It's coming up to 10 to 9. Now, your dog might be able to do the odd trick, but Vinnie, the assistance dog, takes canine skills to another level.
Dogs like Vinnie can be trained to collect money from an ATM. They can fetch things from the fridge. They can put away washing to make life easier for people with disabilities.
The charity Canine Partners is now appealing for more puppy and dog volunteer trainers. Phil Chapman reports.
Off, go get Coke. Goodbye. Goodbye.
As a canine partner, there isn't much Vinnie can't do around the house for Sue, short of the ironing, from fetching a refreshing drink from the fridge to even helping with medical assistance. Sue can have up to 30 dislocations a day, and Vinnie is there for her every time it happens.
Good boy.
I couldn't be without him at the moment. As well as doing all the task work for me, he's there if I've got pain, he's there, he comes and comforts me. Ehlers-Danlos syndrome is a connective tissue disorder. I've got the hypermobility type, so my joints dislocate without hardly moving at all. Obviously that's quite painful, so having Vinnie there, especially if I'm in bed and then he's next to me to comfort me, is absolutely, it's a lifesaver. It really is my best friend, really.
I work full time, and whilst I'm not in the office 5 days a week at the moment, most of the time I have been, and it just means that, you know, Sue's got someone at home that can be there for her to, you know, to get things that I'm not worrying about trying to get up and falling over.
And Vinnie can always learn new skills adapted to Sue's needs.
For example, if I drop this wallet now on the floor, Vinnie, get it. Good boy. Vinnie, up. Good boy. Positive reinforcement, like I've been taught by Canine Partners, we can think of a method to train him to do that new task, and then from then on give it a name, and then he'll be able to do that task for me.
And to raise funds for the Canine Partners charity, Sue's dad is donating an incredibly intricate doll's house, which he spent years creating at home in Ulverston.
6 years ago, my dad started building a doll's house, and he's just finally finished it, and it's to be auctioned off for Canine Partners.
It is all ready, and it's just that I've left it to Susan and her husband Mark to sort out how much they sell it for. It's cost me and Mark over £1,500 up to now. I wanted to do something back because her dogs cost so much to train.
With Vinnie now being 8, he's actually semi-retired. Sue will need another canine partner herself in time when Vinnie can become a full-time pet dog and take a well-earned rest. Phil Chapman, BBC News, Eaglesfield in Cumbria.
I think we all feel a bit like that this morning, don't we? We're joined now in the studio by Sophie Reed, who's an advanced trainer at Canine Partners, and by Fiona, who is looking at Sophie with the biggest, most focused eyes I can imagine.
Nobody's ever looked at me like that, Sophie.
Fiona
is just
one of
beautiful.
your demonstration dogs. She is so focused on you. She's one well-trained dog.
She's really well behaved.
She is. She loves you to bits, doesn't she?
She does.
What can she do? How does she help?
So Fiona's one of our demonstration dogs for our charities. So she didn't make it through the training programme. So I took her on myself, and we go around the country demonstrating what our charity does. So as you saw with Susan and Vinnie, we train assistance dogs for people with physical disabilities. So they can do anything from picking up small items when they're dropped on the floor to picking up really large items, such as a crutch. They can open and close doors. They can load and unload the washing machine. It's really no end of the things that they can do.
So she didn't make it through training, but she has picked up some skills, and you were going to demonstrate to us something
That's
that
it.
Fiona
So
can do.
we teach all of our puppies when they're young 3 core skills. So we teach them a touch and a tug and a retrieve. So, and then with those 3 skills, we can then build on those to become all of the advanced skills that you can see our working dogs doing.
Okay.
So if we start with the touch, Fee, let's go. So we just teach them to do basic hand touch, touch. So she just touches the hand. Touch. Good girl.
Oh.
And then we can progress that on to things like touching pedestrian switches and lift switches out and about. So that can be a really useful
That's
skill.
so handy, just those tiny taps, isn't
Exactly,
it?
yeah. For somebody who can't quite reach.
Look at her. I mean, she is so concentrated on you. I've
She
never
is,
seen
she's
her go.
good.
She will not leave your gaze. She's just absolutely fixed, isn't
That's
she?
it. And then the next skill that we teach them as puppies is just a simple tug, so on a toy. So at home, if you're playing with your dog, they might like to tug on a toy, so we harness that skill. Fee, come here. Good girl. Tug. Just on a toy, just tugging nice and straight backwards. And then we can progress that onto something like...
So that would be opening doors.
Exactly.
Or, yeah.
And then that can also be progressed onto something like undressing. So, Fee, come here. Good girl. My lap. Good girl. Can you get this zip? Tug, tug. Tug, tug. Good girl. So she takes the zip off, tugs the sleeve off nice and gently. This side. Give. Tugs the other sleeve off.
Oh, good girl.
Oh,
Look at
that's
that.
fantastic.
So that's how the tug can be used as well. Oh, biscuit.
That's worth a treat.
That's always worth a treat. And then the final skill that we teach them is a retrieve. Again, this is one of the biggest things that our dogs will do for somebody. So when something's dropped on the floor, they can pick it up and bring it back to you. So if my mobile phone was to drop on the floor, Fee, get it. She can pick it up and bring it back to me, and then I don't have to try and bend down to pick that item up. Even things as hard as a bunch of keys, because they're metal.
Yeah.
Some dogs don't like touching that on their teeth. If I drop that on the floor, she'll pick that up for me.
I mean, that is nothing short
Good
of
girl.
life-changing for someone with mobility issues.
Exactly. It
Isn't
is a vital skill that's... Settle down. Good girl. And because of the dogs that we use, they are retrievers. They do love to retrieve. So even if somebody drops something on the floor 100 times a day, the dog will do it and they enjoy doing it. And that's the reason why we use the Labradors.
We've seen what Fiona can do like so brilliantly. Every single task you gave her, she completed, immediately. I'm struggling to understand why Fiona wouldn't have been successful in the training programme. What couldn't she do?
She unfortunately has some health issues.
Okay.
So she's got quite a lot of environmental allergies. So she does struggle with her health.
Okay.
So I'm able to manage that at home. But we didn't feel it was fair to try and ask her to look after somebody else when she needed that looking after.
So the
herself.
selection process is really careful, both in terms of the behaviour, but also just the dog itself. Yeah.
Yes, and so we get the dogs at 8 weeks old, and we are trying to find homes for them to be with, so volunteer puppy parents who can have those puppies for us and do some of that basic training with them, so teaching them a basic hand touch, teaching them a tug on a toy, getting them out and socialising them out and about.
And funding must be a challenge. It's around £30,000 to take a pup through its training and maintain its life assisting a human. How is that in terms of collating the funding?
Yeah, so again, we do lots of events up and down the country. So again, we're always looking for volunteers to help us with our fundraising, getting involved in all the events that we do. If anybody wants to go on our website, they can find out what we're doing and where we're doing it and help us to spread the word.
And that's how they can find out how they could volunteer. It sounds to me like that would be a very special... You'd really have to know what you're doing to do the training.
Not really. We have lots of trainers who would support any volunteer who felt that they had the time to take on a puppy. We've got trainers that can support that volunteer throughout the whole process. So they would have that puppy for around 18 months. with special guidance from a trainer throughout that time, and they just need to have a loving home really in the time to take on a puppy.
And how do you prioritise demand? Because I can just imagine so many people with disabilities whose lives would be enhanced by someone like Fiona.
Yeah, our demand is quite high. Our waiting list at the moment is unfortunately closed. So one of the reasons why we are really trying to recruit more volunteers to have our puppies, so that we can get more dogs in our system, so that we can get more dogs out placed and really start to open that waiting list again, because at the moment our waiting list is quite long.
The independence that a dog like this would give to people would be incredible, wouldn't it?
It is, and you can't really put it into words, the way that they transform people's lives. I mean, the physical acts that they can do, so actually physically taking items off and picking items up is amazing, but the psychological and the social benefits that they provide to our clients is unmatched, really.
I don't think we'd make the top of the list, John, just like if we'd like to take one home just because we're tired after these breakfast shifts.
She's staring at me like she's really disappointed in me. Slightly unnerved. But
I'm not angry, I'm just
she's
disappointed in you, John.
I'm better trained than you are, she's saying. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Fiona.
Fiona, you're an absolute beauty. Look at her eyes.
Just want to take my jacket off. It's 8:59.
It's a
watching
nice
breakfast.
jacket.